Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yasharanandana Vratanana Yasharanandana Vratanana Tira Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Giri Hare Radha Giri Hare Radha. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. The Divine Grace Maharaj Prabhupada, Anantoti Vaishnava Vrindaki, Namaskar Shila Haridasa Gopi, from Sikhavosha Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Gaur Brahmavati. All glories to Samadavati. All glories to Samadavati. All glories to Samadavati. All glories to Shri Guru Shri Granga. All glories. Reading from Srila Prabhupada Lamrita, chapter entitled Stay High Forever. Immediately he stood up, and they knew he was going to speak. It was 4 o'clock, and the warm autumn sun was still shining on the path. The atmosphere was peaceful, and the audience attentive and mellow from the concentration on the mantra. He began to speak to them, thanking everyone for joining the kirtan. The charming Parakrishna, he said, had been introduced 500 years ago in West Bengal by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare means energy, energy of the Lord. Krishna is the Lord, and Rama is also the name of the Supreme Lord, meaning the highest pleasure. His disciples sat at his feet, listening. Roy Ram squinted through his shielding hand into the sun to see Swamiji, and Kirtanananda's head was cocked to one side, like a bird listening to the ground. He stood erect by the stout oak, his hands folded loosely before him in a proper speaker's posture, his light saffron robes covering him gracefully. The tree behind him seemed perfectly placed, and the sunshine dappled leafy shadows against the thick trunk. Behind him, through the grove of the trees, was the steeple of St. Bridget's. On his right was a dumpy, middle-aged woman wearing a dress and a hairdo that had been out of style in the United States for 25 years. On his left was a bold-looking hippie girl in tight jeans, and beside her a young black man in a black sweater, his arms folded across his chest. Next was a young father holding an infant, and then a bearded young street sadhu, his long hair parted in the middle, and two ordinary short-haired middle-class men with their young female companions. Many in the crowd, although standing close by, became distracted, looking off here and there. Prabhupada explained that there were three platforms: sensual, mental, and intellectual, and above them is a spiritual platform. The chanting of Hare Krishna is on the spiritual platform, and it is the best process for reviving our eternal blissful consciousness. He invited everyone to attend the meeting at 22nd 7th Avenue and concluded his brief speech by saying, "Thank you very much, please chant with us." Then he sat down, took the drum, and began the kirtan again. If it were risky for a 71-year-old man to thump a drum and shout so loud, then he would take that risk for Krishna. It was too good to stop. He had come to Vrindavan, survived the non-Krishna Yoga Society, waited all winter in obscurity. America had waited hundreds of years with no Krishna chanting. No Hare Krishna had come from Thoreau or Emerson's appreciations, although they had pored over the English translation of the Gita and the Puranas. No kirtan had come from Vivekananda's famous speech on behalf of Hinduism at the World Parliament of Religion in Chicago in 1893. So now that he had finally had Krishna Bhakti going, flowing like the Ganges into the sea, he could not stop. In his heart, he felt the infinite will of Lord Chaitanya to deliver the fallen soul. He knew that if this was the desire of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his own spiritual master, even though caste-conscious Brahmanas in India would disapprove of his associating with such untouchables as these drug-mad Americans, meat-eaters, and their girlfriends. But Swamiji explained that he was in full accord with the scriptures. The Bhagavatam had clearly stated that Krishna consciousness should be delivered to all races. I hope you're listening to this, because this is like exactly mirroring what we're going to be hearing about in the purport today. Let's repeat that again. The Bhagavatam clearly stated that Krishna consciousness should be delivered to all races. Everyone was a spirit soul, and regardless of birth, they could be brought to the highest spiritual platform by chanting the holy name. Never mind whatever simple things they were doing. These people were perfect candidates for Krishna consciousness. Pumpkin Square Park was Krishna's land, and it was also part of the earth. And these people were all members of the human race, and chanting of Hare Krishna was the dharma of the age. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ato Bhajva Mamu Ato Bhavasya Mambhadra Vajatim Me Dayam Kuru Etavam Purusho Dharmo Yad Artan Anukampate Ato Bhajva Ato Bhajasva Mambhadra Vajantim Me Dayam Kuru Etavam Purusho Dharmo Yad Artan Anukampate Atoba Jaspamam Tatra Vajanti Me Dayam Kuru Etavam Purusho Dharmo Yad Artan Anukampate. Would you like to chant, Prabhu, or just the lady? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Ato, therefore, Vajasva, accept. Mam, me. Bhadra, O gentle one. Vajantim, willing to serve. Me, to me. Dasyam, mercy. Kuru, do. Etavan, such a measure. Purusha, for any gentleman. Dharma, religious principle. Yeah, that. Aratan, to the distress. Anukampate, is compassionate. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Kala Kanya continued. O gentle one, I am now present before you to serve you. Please accept me and thus show me mercy. It is a gentleman's greatest duty to be compassionate upon a person who is distressed. Yavanaraj, the king of the Yavanas, could also refuse to accept Kala Kanya, daughter of time, but he considered the request due to the order of Narada Muni. Thus he accepted Kala Kanya in a different way. In other words, the instructions of Narada Muni or the path of devotional service can be accepted by anyone within the three worlds, and certainly by the king of the Yavanas. Lord Chaitanya himself requested everyone preach the cult of Bhakti Yoga all over the world in every town and village. Preachers in the Krishna consciousness movement have actually experienced that even the Yavanas and the Malechas have taken to spiritual life on the strength of Narada Muni's Pancharatrika Vidhi. When mankind follows the disciplic succession as recommended by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everyone throughout the world will benefit. Om Gyanan Simarantasya Ganantala Salakaya Takshu Umilitan Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master is ocean in my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. After my respect, I base the his lotus feet. So there were two main themes that I picked up from the purport today. The first being that Lord Chaitanya wanted everybody to preach this Krishna conscious movement. And the second was that no one is disqualified from devotional service. And we were having the graphic example of that in the Prabhupada Lilamrita. So Prabhupada, he had taken this Kirtan party to Tompkins Square Park, and anyone and everyone who was there, old people, young people, and it was described in the paragraph that we were reading. It doesn't matter whatever sinful life they were coming from, the lectures, meat eaters, anyone was welcome to join the Kirtan, and he invited everyone back to the temple. So yeah, this Krishna conscious movement is for everybody, and Srila Prabhupada really exemplified that in his preaching. And yesterday I was reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and the Chaitanya Charitamrita is just full of so many preaching pastimes. It's very sweet and very ecstatic, and just gives it as just amazing examples to follow and pastimes to meditate on. I was reading the Lord's Tour of South India, and Lord Chaitanya, he was just walking from village to village, and he was just basically doing what he loved doing, he had taste for, was chanting Hare Krishna. So we know that Lord Chaitanya is Radha and Krishna combined, came in the incarnation 500 years ago. And one of the reasons that he came was to spread this Krishna conscious movement, to give the Yuga Dharma, which is the chanting of Hare Krishna. So he was going from village to village. And because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he had such potency, he would just chant, Hari, Hari, and people would just become attracted and they would start chanting too. And because he is Krishna himself, he has such potency that when people would start chanting, they would get immediate taste and ecstatic love for Krishna. And then he would beg them, please go back and share this in your village. So wherever he went, he was just expanding the chanting of Hare Krishna. So people would then go back to their villages, and then those villages would start chanting Hare Krishna. And so this is how he was preaching in South India. And it was basically like Vaisheshekha Prabhu, he talks about this overflow principle. So when we have taste in Krishna consciousness, we naturally, when we have taste in Krishna consciousness, when we're full of Krishna consciousness, then this overflow principle is just naturally coming out of us. If we're happy in Krishna consciousness, then that will show. If we have taste for Kirtan, then we're just naturally going to want to engage in Kirtan, and people pick up on that. So this sharing of Krishna consciousness shouldn't be an artificial thing. Like we read, oh, we have to share Krishna consciousness. Okay, so that means I have to tell people this, I have to tell people that. We actually, if we're experiencing Krishna consciousness ourselves, then naturally we can share that with other people. And it will be very organic and attractive to people. Yeah, so we can see in Prabhupada's pastimes, gone off again. People over here. Okay, so in Prabhupada's pastimes, we were just hearing about the same thing happened. He would go to places, he would chant Hare Krishna, people would become attracted, and then he would send them to different places to set up temples. And because Prabhupada was an empowered pure devotee of Krishna, he had that potency, that he had the potency to empower people and the potency to inspire people to take to Krishna consciousness. So this potency to give Krishna consciousness to others comes from Krishna. And yeah, I was thinking about this again, this overflow principle. So when we're naturally full of Krishna consciousness and it's overflowing, then that's when the sharing of Krishna consciousness becomes very organic. I remember when I was managing the loft, maybe 20 years or more ago, there was one girl that I was helping along in Krishna consciousness. And I'd asked her a couple of times, I'd introduced her to Bhagavatam, and she was like, no, maybe, I can't read that many books and things. And then one evening after the Sunday program, we have first kirtan, and we have discussion. We have another kirtan, and we have prasadam, and then we have the third kirtan. And by the third kirtan, it's people left there are the really sincere ones, the ones that really are into Krishna consciousness. Other people might take prasadam and go. So the third kirtan is always the most ecstatic. And this time Trivikram Prabhu was there, and he just led a kirtan that was just out of this world. All the guests, all the devotees were just ecstatic. And everyone was just naturally tasting Krishna consciousness. And I drove this girl home, and she was just like, wow, this is just amazing, Krishna consciousness. And then she was like, those books that you were talking about, I want those books. So I didn't even have to bring it up again. It was just, she was tasting Krishna consciousness because the devotees were tasting Krishna consciousness. And she thought, yeah, this is just amazing, and I want this. So we really want to help people to get this taste in Krishna consciousness, because philosophy, we don't want to just argue with people, and we want to experience Krishna consciousness and help them to experience Krishna consciousness as well. And this experience of Krishna consciousness, we have to try and help create an atmosphere where people can experience this Krishna consciousness. And that comes in many different ways, because people have got different tastes, and Krishna reciprocates with individuals at individual times. So we have to pray to Krishna, to use it as an instrument, and we have to be full of Krishna consciousness ourselves, to share that with people. And we also have to see where people are at and what their interests are, and try and fan those interests and help them to get this experience of Krishna consciousness through either kirtan, prasadam, service, and so many different things. I remember there was one devotee when we were in Manchester. We had a university program there, and she came along, very intelligent young lady, very beautiful, had lots of natural opulence. Krishna, I think. Hare Krishna. I don't have the potency. Maybe, I don't know if it turns down. So she came along. She was from a wealthy background. She was attractive. She was intelligent. She had so many things going for her. And we were living in this very rundown temple, and the kitchen was in the basement, and it was kind of dark, not the nicest place. And she decided she wanted to do some service, so she was putting bliss balls in little bags, in little plastic bags, putting bliss balls in the bags for us to share with people. And she just started crying, putting these bliss balls in, and she was just like, I don't know why I'm crying. I'm just so happy. This is just like, she was experiencing ecstasy, putting little bliss balls in a plastic bag. And this is somebody from a wealthy background, opulent, attractive, intelligent, and she was getting such taste from putting a sweet in a plastic bag. And I was like, wow, she's experiencing the consciousness. So many different ways we can try and engage people in service. Like Jayananda was, very amazing at engaging people in service. He himself was always busy in devotional service. And as we know, he was one of the first devotees to really get the Rath Yatra going, and that was his heart and soul. And he would be painting, a Rath cart at the side of the street, and people would gather around and look what he's doing, and he would like, oh, can you help me? Can you hold this stencil? Somebody on their way to work would be like suddenly holding a stencil. And then after a while, oh, are you good at painting? Can you paint it? So he was just engaging everybody in service. But he would do it in such a attractive way that people wouldn't even think, oh, why is this person asking me to do something? Or because Jayananda was very Krishna conscious and very sweet and soft-hearted, then people wouldn't think it was strange, wouldn't think it was weird that somebody was asking them to do something. yeah, so we have to help create this atmosphere and yeah, share Krishna consciousness. And yeah, I think that sharing really comes, like I've said before, from this overflow principle for us being Krishna conscious ourselves. When I was brought up, actually, my father was a Baptist minister, and we were missionaries in Africa. And there was always this feeling, because in Christianity, the main conception is that, you know, there's a heaven and a hell, there's one lifetime, and we really, like, God loves you so much, he wants you to go to heaven. But if you don't have faith, then you may end up going to hell for eternity. So that's kind of like a lot of pressure. And a lot of pressure to share that with people. You know, everybody is on their way to hell unless I save them. Like, how can you do that organically and happy? And that was always something I had a big obstacle over. But within Krishna consciousness, we know that every soul is on this journey back to Krishna. And we try and assist and help them on that journey. We just try and help them to take the next step. And it's up to the individual living entity. They may be ready at this time, or they may not be ready. We give them the opportunity, but because they have independence, they may not be ready yet. Or they may just take one step, and we can celebrate that and be happy about that. And then the rest is up to the individual. So we don't have to fear that anxiety that, yeah, we have to save the whole world. It's up to us because everyone's going to hell. It's not like that. We're just trying to serve Krishna, serve Srila Prabhupada, and assist people on the next part of their mission. So yeah, this is where we can feel free to be happy and peaceful in Krishna consciousness in that sharing, not an artificial thing. And we can see this as well in Lord Chaitanya's tour of South India. When he was touring, he met the Kurma Brahmana, and the Brahmana invited Lord Chaitanya to his house, and Lord Chaitanya came and he washed his feet and drank that water and shared it with his family. And he was so happy that Lord Chaitanya had come. And he said to Lord Chaitanya, I can't handle these miseries of materialistic life anymore. I want to come with you. And Lord Chaitanya said, don't speak like that again. Just instruct people, like chant Hare Krishna constantly, and instruct people to follow Lord Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And in that way, then your materialistic household life won't affect you. And I'll come back here again. And he said, actually, it's not that I'll come back here again, it's that we'll never have any separation from each other. So yeah, he said, I won't leave your company. So it's not like we have to change our lifestyle. We just have to be Krishna conscious ourselves and have that desire to be used as an instrument. And we can pray to Lord Chaitanya, whatever situation I'm in, please use me. That there's so many instances. I was thinking the other day, I came to the temple at lunchtime. I work at the school, so I just popped across at lunch. And I was there was one other young man, an Indian man that had come. And the Vajari, she finished offering arati. And then she came over and she started to speak to this gentleman. And I was thinking, wow, you know, like at the temple, there's so many preaching opportunities. Just here at lunchtime, somebody comes, and she was really giving her heart to this young man, explaining the things that we do at the temple and how he can engage. And that was so nice. We have Haridas Prabhu at the reception. So yeah, when we see people around the temple, it's just an amazing opportunity to actually connect with them, because some people, you know, they may just come, have darshan and want to go, but there's so many opportunities to, yeah, give them prasad and explain what different programs we do at the temple. There's so many ways that we can, yeah, assist them. And yeah, so we don't necessarily have to change everything about our life. We don't have to stop working and go on book distribution full time. There was this, I was telling Krishna Chandra the other day, there's this new campaign that's happening around New Zealand, like 1 book a day challenge. So it's basically inspiring people to just carry 2 or 3 Srila Prabhupada's books with them around and just see what opportunities they can have to share with people. but maybe to a colleague at work, or maybe at lunch break they go to a shop and ask the person behind the counter if they'd like a book. So not doing preaching that's unsustainable, just trying to really make it part of our consciousness, part of our life, and see how Krishna uses us. So this was the first part in the purport. I thought that, Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya wanted everybody to preach. And the second part, which I thought was that devotional service can be adopted by anyone. So we were hearing about that in the Prabhupada Lilamrita. And also in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are so many examples of this as well. The first one that came to mind was Narada Muni and Magrari the hunter. And Narada Muni was in the forest, and he started to see animals that were injured, not just dead, but shot with arrows and writhing in pain. And so he was very disturbed by this, and he decided to wait to see who was doing this, who was causing the animal suffering. And soon he came across a hunter, Magrari. And Narada Muni was walking through the forest and making a bit of noise. So any animals that were there fled away. The Magrari, he came out, he was very angry. He's like, why are you disturbing my job? And Narada Muni said, why are you causing so much suffering to these animals? He said, yeah, some people it's there. They kill animals for meat or different purposes, but you're not even just doing that. You're actually there. You're causing them suffering. They're not even just dying straight away. And Magrari was saying, this is, what I've been taught in my family, and I actually experience pain when these animals are suffering. So then Narada Muni, because he has such potency, he actually he showed the hunter what was going to happen to him in his future. He showed in his next lifetime he was going to be hunted by all these animals, and he was going to have pain inflicted upon him like he had done to these animals. And Magrari, he was then very afraid. And he said to Narada Muni, what can I do? And Narada Muni said, you have to break the bow. And so this was a really big test of faith for Magrari, because the bow was his livelihood, is what he thought was sustaining him. But he, followed the instructions of Narada Muni. He broke the bow, and he said, well, how am I going to maintain? And Narada Muni said, just build a small hut, and Krishna is actually going to maintain you. So so the Magrari, he stayed in this small hut outside the village, and people heard that he changed his ways. So they would come and they would give him things. They would give him food, and actually he was really maintained. So he was staying there, and he was taken to Krishna consciousness, and people heard that there's this person whose life has been changed. So this is by the association of Narada Muni. And Narada Muni came to see him one day, and he came out, and he didn't even want to step on any ants. And Narada Muni asked him, do you have enough for your maintenance? And he said, yes, more than enough. You can stop sending so many people now. I've got so much things. So he was maintained. So his life was transformed, and he, by association with Narada Muni. And then also in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have that pastime of Haridas Thakur, and the prostitute, the Haridas Thakur, because he was a great saintly person, he was getting reputation. And there was a landowner in the village, Ram Chandra Khan, and he became very envious because he wanted the opulence of reputation. So he thought, Haridas Thakur, he was a Muslim. He had a very high birth, and he threw that away. He's chanting Hare Krishna, and he's getting so much praise for that. I want to take away this honor that he's getting. Because we know in Bhagavad Gita that the one who's been honored, dishonor is worse than death. So this person that wanted to honor themselves, because they had that, they put that onto everyone else. They thought honor is the thing that I want, so that must be the motivation behind everyone. The Haridas Thakur, he must be doing this for honor, and I'm going to take that honor away from him. So he called local prostitutes together and said, there's this sadhu, I want you to go and break his austerity. So among the prostitutes, one very attractive young girl was chosen, and she said, okay, within 3 nights I will break his austerities. So Ramchandra Khan said to him, or said to her, okay, you can take my officers with you and they'll arrest him when they see you together. But she said, let me enjoy with him first, and then the second time I'll bring my officers. So she went in the evening, in the dead of night, to Haridas Thakur's house. On the way in, she saw Tulsi plant and she offered obeisances. And then when she saw Haridas Thakur, she offered obeisances as well. So I was just thinking how, I don't know if this was just part of her cultural training, but whether it was culture or whether she was in her heart a devotee, the fact that she was offering obeisances to Tulsi and then she saw a sadhu and was offering obeisances to him, it showed her non-envious nature. And yeah, I was thinking in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, when Krishna is leaving Dwarka, the prostitutes come onto the roof and offer flowers. I think it's either Hastinapur or Dwarka. And Prabhupada says here that these prostitutes, they were up on the roof and they were offering flowers to Krishna. And in the purport, Prabhupada said that even prostitutes can actually be great devotees of Krishna, and sometimes by the trick of chance, then one is put in an unfortunate position that they have to do some occupation that's not the best, but that doesn't bar somebody from being a devotee. And that also goes completely along with what we're hearing about today. There's no barring devotional service. Magrai the hunter, he killed so many people, became a devotee. And these prostitutes in Dwarka, they were still prostitutes by chance of fate or trick of fate, how Prabhupada had said, but still they were devotees. So there's no barrier between the soul and Krishna. So this prostitute, she offered obeisance to Tulsi and Haridas Thakur. And she said, please, I've come to enjoy with you. And Haridas Thakur said, oh, thank you for coming. I will fulfill your desire, but I've taken this vow. Please let me finish my chanting first. So he was chanting and she was listening. And then the night came to an end and he said, I'm very sorry that I couldn't fulfill your desire. I couldn't enjoy with you. Please come back again tomorrow, but then I'll have finished my round. So she offered obeisances again and left. And the following day she came back. Again offered obeisances to Tulsi plant. Again offered obeisances to Haridas Thakur. And he said, thank you for coming back. I've taken this vow. I'm sorry I didn't finish it yesterday. I'm hoping to finish it tonight. Please stay, then we can enjoy. So he started chanting again. So all night again, she was hearing Haridas Thakur's chanting and she joined. She was like, oh, occasionally she'd be like, oh, Hari, Hari, my Lord, Hari. So she was also chanting. That reminded me, the other day I was making a phone call to, my daughter wants to study Japanese, so I was phoning this place called Sakura, where they do dual application courses. And they said, well, which school is she at? And we can enroll her. And I said, oh, she's at the Hare Krishna school. And the gentleman on the phone, he's like, Hare Krishna. And then he started looking up on his computer and he kept on saying, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. He must have said it about 10 times. And my daughter in the background was like, kind of like laughing, Hare Krishna. Yeah, so he was being purified by just saying Hare Krishna. Yeah, so this prostitute was like, Hari, Hari. And at the end of the night, Haridas Thakur said to her, I'm so sorry I didn't finish my rounds. Come back tomorrow. By then I'll have definitely finished and we can enjoy. So she offered obeisances and left, came back. This time she didn't come back in the dead of night. She came back in the early evening. So before she was kind of sneaking around trying to break his vow. But then she actually had this attraction to go back to Haridas Thakur. So her consciousness had changed. She came back after obeisances to Tulsi and Haridas Thakur. And he started chanting again. And then towards the end of the night, she offered obeisances and apologized. It's like, I'm so sorry, I came here on the instruction of Ramchandra Khan to break your vows of austerity. And Haridas Thakur said, that's okay, I knew that from the very beginning, but because you came here, in this submissive mood, then I stayed to help you. And he said, instruct me, what can I do? And he said, a little bit like Magrai the hunter, break your bow, so take away your livelihood. He said you have to go and give give your things away in charity, make a small hut, and serve Tulsi Devi. So she had such a strong connection with Tulsi. So she went, she shaved her head, she gave away all her possessions to the Brahmanas and stayed in a hut. And then again, people became aware of the transformation of this young lady, and they would come and they would give her food, give her everything she needed. So she just lived this very austere but very progressive life in devotional service. Yeah, so these are just a couple of examples from the Chaitanya Charitamrita of the transformations of people in any position of life. Yeah, and my reflections again quickly on the purport was that Lord Chaitanya and Prabhupada wanted everybody to preach Krishna consciousness. We can do that in a very organic way. And the second part was that nobody is disqualified from performing devotional service. We were hearing that about Magro the hunter, the prostitute that was saved by Haridas Thakur, and also in Prabhupada Leelamrita, where Prabhupada was giving Krishna consciousness to everybody. Yeah. Are there any comments or questions before we close?
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you very much for your wonderful class. So there's just a few points that I noted and I just required some clarification. So you gave the example of Lord Chaitanya and one of the devotees he instructed that he wanted to go with Lord Chaitanya. And then, but Lord Chaitanya said, no, you stay here, chant and preach Bhagavad Gita to the people, general mass people. So that was his instruction there. And you mentioned that there's no need to change one's position. But then we see, and then we were also talking about occupation and how one's occupation doesn't limit one's Krishna consciousness. But then we see the example of Mringai, the hunter, and we see the example of the prostitute that visited Haridas Thakur. Both of them were then asked to change their occupation.
Yeah.
And you gave the example of the prostitutes of Dwarka. But in the other example, the more modern examples in Lord Chaitanya's pastime is, and also Narad Muni's pastime, I don't know when that happened, but in those examples, they were asked to change their occupation. So they were asked to change their occupation, give away their possessions, and chant Hare Krishna and engage in Krishna consciousness. So I just wanted, I guess it's just clarification really, that one's occupation and position sometimes does impact one's Krishna consciousness in the sense that I was just wanting to sort of get some clarification around that. So thanks that. Sorry, I hope my question makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So Lord Chaitanya told the Kurma Brahmana that he doesn't have to change his position, and that there's no obstacle. But then the prostitute and Magro the hunter were told to stop what they were doing and change. So it's very time, place, circumstance, and individual, and we can always be guided by mentors, people senior to us in Krishna consciousness about our specific position. In this situation, the Kurba Brahmana, we were hearing that he was at home with his wife and family, and they were very respectful, and they all took the water of Lord Chaitanya. So it didn't seem like his position was an obstacle in his spiritual life. His family, from what I can hear, sound favorable. So there wasn't a need for him to change. I think when we look at our lives, our own personal lives, is our occupation, is it an obstacle in our spiritual lives? Could it easily be changed? If, for example, I came to Krishna consciousness and I was a butcher, but I could get another job easily, then it'd be very easily, it's the obvious decision, okay, let me stop this and do something more favorable. So we have to look at the things in our life. Are they favorable to Krishna consciousness? Are they kind of neutral, or they're an obstacle? And so obviously if there are obstacles and we can change them easily, then best to change them. But if they're insurmountable obstacles, then the highest thing is just to chant Hare Krishna. If we can't change what we're doing easily, the best thing is to add Krishna, and then quite often Krishna will slowly change the situation. So the highest thing is to chant Hare Krishna, change the things that are easily changed, but if they can't be changed, then we just practice Krishna consciousness, whatever position we're in. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Mataji.
Anybody else? Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki,